Hey everyone, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life here for Spiegel Mom Scraps, and today I am using Peach Cobbler Sequins. Aren't those beautiful? This month, the theme is it's called Love and Cut Files, and I wanted to show you how you could go about this theme if you didn't have a silhouette and documenting something that you may love, but it's not a person or a thing. So I'm going to document one of my favorite holidays, and the fact that I love it because it's, for us, at least in my family, is a family holiday where we just spend time together, and I really cherish all of that. So my idea here is I'm taking this piece of Making Homes pattern paper, the one that has all the frames, and I'm cutting them out, choosing the ones that have color to them or a saying that I think is going to be relevant to what I'm trying to do. And I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to lay it out or anything like that. I was just trying to focus in on grabbing the colors. So I grabbed the pink one with the 3 little hearts, the yellow, the teals, that navy blue one. I really liked that one. I wanted to make sure that got on my page. I do grab one of the ones that say black and it says hello, and a few other things just to kind of, like I said, anything that I felt would really help me to document what I'm trying to do here. And then I'm just playing. I'm laying out some pieces, trying to figure out where I think they should go. I wanted some of them to pop off the page and look like they had fallen off and it was part of the page. I love to do that type of look. And then I wanted a row so that I could do my main cluster of photos there. At least that's kind of what I'm thinking. I also know that eventually my goal is to fill a few of these up with my sequins. I wanted to do kind of like a pocket, some sort of something to really help make these sequins shine because I love them. They're so pretty and they just needed to be showcased. And so I like this design. I think it's going to work well. And I go ahead with my pencil and I trace out the design of where everything is so that I can go ahead and use some watercolors to help kind of just emphasize the lines and have a little bit of extra something there beneath the photo, so it's not just on plain old white cardstock. I'm using cardstock that is meant for mixed media. It is from Jane Davenport. It's the only one I've used, so I like it, but I've been told that there is some better quality stuff out there. Personally, I'm fine with it. I really like the way that it works, but I haven't tried any of the other stuff. And I'm very simple with my mixed media when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I don't do a lot of it, so it works for my needs. The only thing I don't love about it is it only comes in like 12 sheets in one little pack, so it's a little expensive, but I'm sure I think the other one is called marshmallow paper, and I'm sure that is too, but it's okay, it's worth a shot. So you can see there, I've done all my lines. I'm going to go ahead and take out my watercolors. These are from Prima, and I'm just simply using my water and some colors, and just that's all I'm doing. I'm going to trace it like that. Very, very simple, kind of boring, but I wanted a pop of color underneath each one of them. Like I said, I tried to remember what colors I had where so that they kind of mimicked where everything was going to go back. I was a little off. The yellow down there is actually a pink, but I didn't remember that. But it's okay because I actually like the contrast that it does. And then I used this one and I was trying to do like a softy, almost like a mint color, and that wasn't working. So it turns out a little bit more green than I had meant, but that's okay as well. It all does blend in with each other in the end. I love this really pretty pink color. And you could do this if you didn't have watercolors, and you had shimmers. You definitely could use the shimmers products to do the same thing. You're not doing enough to make it hurt. And I really didn't need to use mixed media paper to do this, but at the time I wasn't exactly sure what my plan was. I just knew I wanted to have something, a pop of color on it, so I had just done that so I didn't have to get out my gesso and get my hands dirty. I wasn't in the mood to get dirty that day. So you can do something like this with just plain white cardstock and just a backing of, gesso, and that would work just fine. So here I go again. And then my second idea here is I'm going to let this dry, and thankfully, because it's watercolor, it does dry fast. I'm also going to go off camera because you don't ever want to watch me stitch. It takes forever, and you would only see the very top of my sewing machine. But I'm going to go ahead and stitch every single one of these with messy stitching in black to really, really help make it pop. So there you go. It's all done. I'm going to line everything back up the way I want it to go. I'm showing you how I am gluing it because I wanted it to look like they were layering in on one another, even though I didn't cut out all of the insides of each one of the frames. I still wanted it to look like it was. So I just cut a few of them like that. I was just kind of showing you how I went about that, laying them all back in. At this point, I'm still not exactly sure my plan for how I'm going to include the sequins. I kind of have an idea, but I'm not 1,000% sure. So I'm just kind of trying to lay it all back down. And I love the way that looks. Do you see how the watercolor just really helps pop it all up? It was exactly the vibe I was trying to go for. So, excuse me, I'm still getting over a touch of a cold here. I love this. This is working for me. I'm very, very happy with it. I do struggle. That bottom part was annoying. So now I'm going to go ahead and I decided I'm going to fill in a few of these frames with the sequins, but I want them to pop up. So I was just double checking that the peach color was the one I wanted to use, and it is because it's the right color tones. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue down the first frame so that I don't, because that I need to be a flat element, but I don't want to get sequins on that frame either because it's supposed to be like it's above the red frame. So I just went ahead and glued that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. I use a fabric tack. It is acid free, so it works for my scrapbooking, but I really love the way that it holds on to sequins. It works really, really well. And I'm just going to go ahead and I apply quite a thick layer actually of this beautiful glue, and then I just dump. I wasn't worried about making a mess because I knew I was going to do this multiple times, so I might as well just get the mess over with once. But I'm just going to sprinkle them all in there, and I sprinkle them and then I pat them with my finger so that it all sticks and I know that everything is in there and it's going to stick. I rub the part that's the second frame away so that I make sure that I didn't get anything on there. And then I just let it dry and go about the rest of it. And then as I'm doing that, I'm trying to think of where the second places I want them to be. And I do decide to do it on the one that says love, which you can see there. And then I'm also going to do it on that pink card right there. And I'm just showing you how I do this. I go ahead and I take my frame, because this one's off the page. I was okay with cutting it off, but I just cut the inside of the frame there. And I then make sure everything is popped up with some foam. I'm using Fun Foam from Walmart. It's super cheap and easy, and it's a great dimension for, especially with sequins, for getting it off the page but not and above the sequins, but it's not too high that it doesn't stick in with your album. There's not a lot of extra lift, which is perfect. And like I said, because this glue is it's a little bit different, so I can just cover it, and it has a nice little sheen and layer so that you can get a lot of sequins stuck down and you know they're not going to go anywhere. So it's perfect. And I just take my bag and dump them. And I did use an entire bag. So I have no more peach cobbler sequins left in my stash. They are all gone. But it's really fun. And then so I let it dry and I come back and stick it down, and that's how that looks. It's a super easy thing to do, and it's a fun way. You could do that with a shaker pocket if you were worried about them falling out at all. I don't worry about it, but if you were, you would just put a little layer of some sort of clear packaging at all, and that would just make it into a little pocket just in case you were afraid of that. But that is how I went about with my sequins. And then to finish off my layout, I'm going to pop a few things up with Fun Foam. I wanted lots of different dimension and stuff to play around with. And I'm going to debate about my photos. So I was pretty sure I was going to do New Year's photos, but I wasn't 1,000%. So I did go through the rest of my photos just to kind of make sure. But I do decide that, yes, I have these 5 photos that I want to use to represent how New Year's went. And I also had these, aren't those cute photos of Nora? She's teething, and I thought about maybe doing this and just talking about how she loved to cuddle when she's teething, which would be another way to document love in a kind of a unique and different aspect, but it's not going to work. I couldn't make them fit. My head is too big, and where I wanted to place the photos, it just wasn't going to work. So it was a good idea, and it would have worked. The color schemes definitely would have worked with this, but I'm going to save those photos for another day, and I actually think I'm going to hold off on them and use them in a traveler's notebook instead. I think that's going to work a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead now and just trim all of these photos. I want to make sure most of them fit within the white square, except for one because it's too big and I know it won't. And I'm just going to use that to highlight in that pink, and that is a photo of me and Nora. It's the one we took with the snap. I don't know if it was Snapchat or Facebook, but it was one of the filters that I used, and I loved it. It was before she went to bed. And then the rest of them were just other snaps throughout the night. We had coffee because Sean and I were exhausted and we didn't think we would make it to midnight without it. So we had coffee. Jackson got to have chips and dip along with us. That's a tradition that we do in our family for New Year's, is we have chips and dip. And we watched a movie. We watched Ice Age with Jackson, and he loved that. And my little guy made it to 11:58, crawled into his tent and went to bed. He didn't want to watch the fireworks. He was too tired. So he almost made it to midnight, 2 minutes too late. So I think I'm going to make another layout about that because I think it's just so funny. But he was so close. He almost made it. But it was a fun night, and we made it to midnight. We watched the fireworks on TV. They shoot off fireworks down here in Vancouver, and we watched that on TV. And then I'm pretty sure as soon as that was over, I went straight to bed. I was pretty tired. I am not much of a night owl, so as soon as it's like, my bedtime's around like 9 o'clock, so midnight is quite late for me. So I went right to bed, but it was still a fun night, and I love to document it. So you can see I've gotten them all down. They're exactly how I want them. I have placed my title down. That part kind of got cut off on you, sorry. And I'm liking this, but it is too bare. It is missing some sort of paper, pattern paper or something for a little bit more emphasis. So what I end up doing is fussy cutting all of this out. A little crazy, I know, but I really love what ends up happening here. So I'm going to take the time to fussy cut it all out, and I like it because this is pretty thick cardstock because it is meant for mixed media, and so it's nice and heavy and works really well. And I am making a few decisions on which pattern paper I wanted to use. I think this one would have worked. It's very fun and playful. It's just a little too busy for me. I just couldn't make it work. I thought about it. I was just a little too nervous, but I had this piece, which is from Dear Lizzie, and you know what? The back of that has the deer, and it was my favorite piece of pattern paper, but I'm not using those deers. I'm just not going to do it. I decided this is going to work, and I sucked it up, and I'm just going to use it. The problem, however, is, can you see that big gaping hole right there? My little sequins mix that I made there for my title is not going to fit there, so I have to reconfigure my layout and how it's all going to go together. So I end up moving the nice big strip down there, and my title actually kind of nestled right in with that second one. So that worked really well. And then I was able to just layer in that last photo with Nora, and it actually looks really cool all layered like that. So I love that. I'm going to put my title where I originally had it planned with that other sequins little frame there. And you know what, guys, that wraps this up. If you are interested in purchasing these amazing sequins, you can go ahead and click on over to Spiegel Mom's scrap store. There is so much beautiful new mixes in her shop, so make sure to check them out. I'll let you have another quick look at them here. And you can use my code Christy15 for a discount. There are the beautiful sequins and my layout. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon with another layout for Spiegel Mom Scraps. Bye!